let's say Samson wins again and Nick is second and he beats Hottie and Derek. Is that a victory because he's beaten two former Mr. Olympias?
What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So let's start this video with 5 weeks out physique update from Regan, getting ready to finally make his Olympia debut. So we can see progress in literally every aspect in his physique, and let's just hope that people in his corner, they ask him to follow his own tradition and jump into this upcoming France Pro show, which is scheduled in about 2 weeks time, about 2 weeks before the Olympia this year, because that is going to be a great chance for him to secure his Olympia spot for next year very early in the season, the same way he won the Legion Sports 2 weeks before the Olympia last year, and the way he won the Big Man Weekend back in 2022. So the kind of pop on that rear delt, along with the chest fullness, that is looking simply amazing. The side tricep is such a great shot for Regan, and the condition on him, that is also coming along very nicely. So the man is at a point in his prep at the moment where he's gonna look very impressive with every passing week, like most of these other pros who are Olympia qualified. But the question is, does Brett has what it takes to be in the top 10, and that too on his first try? Well, he did put in a lot of work. He put on some solid size, some quality muscle on his frame. But that being said, there are plenty of awesome and super physiques in that Olympia top 10. So there have hardly been any show in Brett's career where he came in off. The Arnold, Ohio back in 2022, that is the only show that comes to mind, and that's pretty much it. So once again, he's gonna come in inside out shredded. But this time he has to make sure that he holds on to all that muscle, all that fullness, while getting ripped. And if he can bring that same kind of condition with the added muscle of let's say 5+ pounds, he's gonna look very impressive. So let me know, do you guys have Brett in your top 10 for the Olympia this year? Before you scroll or blink too hard, have you subscribed yet? Please don't make me bring out the emotional blackmail. Hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon. It's free, it's painless, and that makes me look way cooler than I actually am. So that is the newest classic physique sensation Niall, and his latest physique update, less than 5 weeks out from his second only Olympia in classic. So this guy has the potential to place top 6 in 5 weeks time at this year's Olympia. And there is nobody in that top 5 with a smaller waistline than Niall, and that is an undisputed fact. That is like a picture perfect front double, especially for his frame. And yes, I know there are some guys out there who are gonna beat him in the overall density and the muscularity, but in terms of shape, the aesthetics, the flow, this guy is one of the most classic looking man in that entire division. Absolutely one of the best structure out there. So he's also a very tall guy, and he has those wide clavicles, and he has been on a mission to improve his back since winning this year's Tampa Pro. So the great thing for Niall was that he made the weight in his last show with some room to spare, so he can realistically make some good improvements, some noticeable gains in that area. So we are looking at a guy who's gonna be consistently placing in that top 6 for many years to come in classic. And that isn't just based on his structural superiority. That isn't his only strength. His ability to bring dry and that shredded look every single time he steps on stage, that is also one of the best out there. He was peaked to perfection at this year's Tampa Pro. In fact, he should be among the top guys who made some unbelievable progress from last year to this year. So last year, Niall was just outside of that top 10. He was 11th specifically at the Olympia last year. And this time he's moving up for sure. And the waist, that is going to be a pivotal point for him as the man beats everyone in that aspect, in that entire first call out, maybe even in that top 10. The only other guy who has a smaller waistline than him, that is Yemi. So how high do you guys think Niall is gonna place at the Olympia this year? So Stephane just made it official that he's doing this upcoming France Pro as his men's open bodybuilding debut. So that makes him about 3 weeks out. And based on this update from today, you can argue that he probably could have done this upcoming Germany Pro 2 or even last night's Italy Pro 2. But he must have a plan here. So this is gonna be very interesting, because that weight cutoff for Stephane in Classic, that was 212 pounds, and the man is 250 in these updates. So 38 pounds heavier. And based on that conditioning that we are seeing on him at the moment, what's the maximum amount of weight he can drop before it's showtime? Well, let's just say it's 10 pounds, which is a stretch, because the man is looking absolutely peeled. But even if he steps on stage at 240 pounds, that's like adding 38 pounds of solid muscle, quality tissue on his frame, and that too in just 1 year. And that is gonna make one hell of a difference in his overall muscularity. So if he can bring that same kind of conditioning with those same classic lines as we saw from him last year in Portugal, Stephane might be another one like Olympia who's gonna qualify for the Olympia in the Men's Open after switching over from classic physique. So Stephane is a perfect example on how that classic weight limit, that is just ruining some physiques, because all these taller, more muscular guys, at this point, they aren't doing bodybuilding. They are basically restricting their body at this point. We just saw the results of this year's Italy Pro, where Olympia, he just shocked the entire bodybuilding world after switching over from classic. And Stephane could be the next one. So we have been waiting for his Men's Open debut for almost a year now, and this is certainly gonna be worth the wait. So there are some rumors that this upcoming France Pro that is supposed to have some very heavy hitters. Like rumors are, we might see Regan in there, who by the way is also looking shredded to the bone and absolutely ripped. Brett Wilkin might also do that show, and there are chances Ors might also jump in. So Stephane will get a good comparison with all of these guys. So the man is looking very big, very round, and not a lot of guys out there, they have that level of muscle quality. I mean, look at the striations on his chest, his shoulders, his triceps, the biceps, everything is superb. So how high Stephane can place, that is totally dependent on his back development. So the one thing that he lacks, that is the lat width, from the front as well as from the back. But that being said, his back has also came up big time since he switched over. So a very well-directed question was asked to Kyle Wilkes, who has been coaching the mutant Nick Walker since him and Matt Jensen parted ways. And this pretty much sums up the expectations of the mutant going into this year's Mr. Olympia.
Let's say Samson wins again, and Nick is second, and he beats Hottie and Derek. Is that a victory because he's beaten two former Mr. Olympias? Or does that still count as like we lost?
I think it's like a fuck we lost, man.
Really?
You know, yeah, to a degree. Like on paper, it'd be his best ever.
So even a second place, that will be considered a loss by Nick and his coach Kyle. So that is a real champion mentality right there, as the man now is only aiming for one thing, the Olympia title. Although he knows he has to beat 3 Olympia champions. He has to beat 2 guys, Derek Lunsford and Hadi Chopin, whom he have never beaten before in his career. Now Samson is a guy whom he did beat, but since that time, Samson has also unlocked new levels. So if we look at Nick's career, he has done only 2 Olympias so far. So he was 5th back in 2021 and he was 3rd in 2022. So he skipped the Olympia in 2023 because of that hamstring tear, and he skipped the Olympia last year for whatever reason. And what we are seeing from the mutant this time, based on all the physique updates that he has been posting, he is definitely on his way to present his all-time best at this year's Olympia stage. But the question is, would that be enough to convince the judges to give him the Olympia title? So the judging that has been more rewarding towards more streamlined and more aesthetic physiques in the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, you can go back and look at the Arnold Ohio back in 2023. Nick was in a much better condition than Samson, but they gave the nod to Samson Dauda based on his overall package. And out of Samson Dauda, Hadi and Derek, Nick is the odd man out. He doesn't have the aesthetics, but he does have that sheer mass, rock hard conditioning and crazy freak factor. And I must say it's also gonna suit the Pro League to crown a new champion, to create more hype for the Olympia next year. That being said, It is great to see the mindset and how that has changed, because initially his goal, that was placing in that top 3, to now chasing the Olympia title. So what do you guys think? Will Nick placing second in the world, will that be considered a loss? So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.